Hey, what's up, everyone? Brad Chmielewski here, and this is episode 121 of Shatter the Vain. Man, that's nuts. That's a lot of episodes of this podcast. Thank you for everyone who's been listening, watching the video version, supporting the podcast. Like, this just means so much to me that I've been able to do so many episodes with so many awesome people in this community and just talking about this game that I play way too much of. But this episode, we're going to dive into Vainglory Worlds, talk some more about update 1.22. Evil 8 started back up, so we got that going on. And then I have Luke, Mal, from Twitch streamer, he streams on Mobcrush. Definitely check him out. Was able to sync up with the time difference and just kind of get his perspective on the game. So really fun conversation. So this episode should be a blast as we dive into it. We also talk a little bit about the Stormcrown. It's an item that we've been seeing rising in popularity with that Stormcrown Taka build happening, and just like it is really strong right now. There's also been that tease of the new hero. We kind of dive into that and what we think a little bit. Can't say too much because we know some things aren't public, but 1.23's got to be coming soon, right? I think it's gonna come here quickly, and I can't wait for another like gunslinger type hero. We've been seeing a lot of like mechs and crystal mages, and we just need to let's go back to the basics where we just shoot people with bow and arrows and things like that. Like, let's go simple a little bit, less complex. So can't wait to that. Then gotta mention a couple other things. The Vainglory app, fantastic app, gives you a great companion to Vainglory where you can dive into just builds and character descriptions and items, and they've been doing stats as well for the Evil 8, so definitely pick up this app. They also have a really good blog on their website, so I checked that out. Some great writers there just giving thoughts and context for the game. Check it out. And then I want to mention the Patreon page. If you're digging the podcast, if you've been listening or watching for 120 episodes, like, thank you. I want to mention I have the Patreon page at patreon.com/shatterthevain. I always mess that up, but go over there, support it up if you can. If not, just thank you for listening. And you can support the podcast by listening, telling your friends, or backing on Patreon. Whatever you can do, just keep this going and keep talking about this game. Let's do it. Let's just jump into episode 121.
Shatter the Vain, a podcast about vainglory.
This is the 121st episode of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and this is a podcast all about Vainglory. Every week, try to break down the news, gameplay, game tips, and hopefully all become better players together. And every week, bringing on new people from the community, people that love this game. And this week, I'm joined by Luke, also known as Mal. Very long name. I'll let him say it and explain it, but welcome.
Thanks for having me, dude. Mal or Maleficarum is the full name. Some people struggle with that. That's understandable. But yeah, no, it's just great to be here, dude.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Where'd the name come from then?
I get asked that as well quite a bit, but Maleficarum, it's a Latin word. It means witch or wicked one.
Okay.
It's taken from a book called the Malleus Maleficarum, which basically means the witch's hammer.
Okay.
I won't go into any more detail than that. It was basically a witch hunter's like guidebook. It was one of the first sort of books.
Oh, cool.
That sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice,
bit obscure, I know.
Yeah, nice and unique, and probably makes it easy to like get the handles and get the names everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't struggle to get the name on most games. Fair to play.
That's awesome. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Do you want to, I guess, introduce yourself now that we all know your name? Like, you're a streamer, you're playing Vainglory, or like little intro there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a streamer. I've been streaming a little more seriously for probably about 10 months now. I had been dabbling in it throughout the years, but I kind of committed to it about 10 months ago.
Okay.
I've been streaming Vainglory for about, I'd say, 3 months now. But already things have gone really well with Vainglory. I love the game. I love the community. So I've been putting a lot of hard work and effort into kind of hopefully getting myself out there a little bit more within the community. Thank you for helping me with that, by the way.
Sure. What were you streaming before that?
Kind of a bit of everything. I was a streamer for a games company called, well, I say a stream. I was a content creator for a games company called True on Worlds.
Okay.
And I was doing kind of a lot of there's a game called Devilian. They also make Rift and games like that. So I was streaming a lot of alpha and beta content for them. Blade and Soul, MMOs, MOBAs, kind of.
Okay.
It's kind of been varied over time. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm as well was a big thing.
Okay, so this isn't your first MOBA then?
No. Well, a long time ago, I used to play MOBA. I used to play some of the smaller MOBAs competitively. It's like a really unknown MOBA called, oh God, I got it. It's Strife. Sorry.
Strife. Okay.
Well, I went back there. Strife. Yeah, I played that competitively for a little while. And then Infinite Crisis was another game I started playing competitively before it died.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I stepped away from streaming and gaming for a little while, and then kind of got back into it towards the end of last year.
Mm-hmm. So you dig the MOBA genre? Like, do you like it more than maybe some of the other games, or like you just kind of like, it's a very addicting thing. I think because it's never ending. Like, you never feel like you are at the top of your game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing about MOBAs that I suppose that a lot of other types of games don't really do well is the social aspect. Like, I need that social aspect to be involved in a game.
Okay.
Like, it's great to play like an RPG and kind of get into a story, but a week of that and you're like, okay, I'm done with this game now. To keep me in the game, it needs that kind of that social aspect, that community feel to it. I think that's why I've always loved MMOs and MOBAs. But Vainglory itself, I found, the community is probably one of the least toxic MOBA communities I've ever encountered. And welcoming as well, very welcoming.
Yeah, it's still very young, so it has time to grow into its toxicity.
Yeah, it has plenty of time to go wrong, but hopefully it won't.
So how'd you get into Vainglory then? Like, what was, like, these other games were kind of shutting down, and were you just looking for something else? And
Actually, I've known about Vainglory for a really long time. I knew about it, like, I think it was almost 2 years ago when it was in alpha and beta, but it was only on iOS.
Okay.
And I've never had Apple products. I've never used them.
Okay.
So I was really frustrated because I really, really wanted to try this game and I couldn't because it was only on Apple.
Okay.
So I stepped away. I kind of just forgot about it and moved on to other games and did what I was going to do. And then, like I said, last year, I sort of started becoming aware. I was like, hang on. Earlier this year, I was like, hang on, it's on Android now? Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, it's been on Android for like 6 months. Fuck's sake. Pardon my language, sorry. You might want to bleep that one out. But I do apologize for swearing. But yeah, so I got really frustrated at that. And I was like, right, I'm straight on that game. I downloaded it, immediately did the tutorials, and I was like, right, this is what I'm doing now.
That's awesome, yeah. Yeah, it's been on Android. I think is it a year now? It might be a year now. So that's pretty awesome.
I kind of assumed it was only going to be on Apple and didn't realize they brought it to Android. So yeah, I'm glad they did.
Yeah. What do you have a tablet or do you play on your phone?
I unfortunately play on my phone.
Okay.
Still, I'm hoping to get a dedicated tablet purely just for the streaming and gaming. Probably Christmas time, I think. Finances wise.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
Hopefully at that point, Samsung is done with their exploding devices with Volcon, and then you can kind of enjoy the game.
Yeah. I don't want to end up looking like Two-Face by the end of my stream.
Right, yeah. It'd make for a good highlight clip, though, like the explosion happening. I'm surprised.
Yeah, YouTube partnership guaranteed.
Awesome. So, yeah, about your stream, like what goes on your stream? Are you doing viewer games? Are you just ranking?
Quite a lot of variety. I should play more ranked. I don't play ranked as often as I should because I end up playing with guildmates and viewers quite a lot.
Okay.
I see myself more as an entertainer as a streamer. I pride myself on being interactive and having fun with my viewers, chatting to them about music, fitness. We cover like a whole bunch of things, but basically I try to create an environment where when you've had a stressful day and work's been mental or family's been crazy or whatever, school's getting on the getting on the steps, you can come to the stream and just chill out with really cool people, good music, and just enjoy some Vainglory gameplay regardless. I'm not going to be able to be I'm not going to be the guy giving you pro tips.
Okay.
I'm not a terrible player, but I'm definitely not. I'm not as high as I'm no Leon. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
But,
I think you need both sides of those streams, because there's a lot of times where I know I'm maybe not watching the games and I kind of just want to hear people talk and listen to music. And a lot of the streamers, Vainglory streamers, just play the game head down and aren't talking to the chat that often.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, and you must, like, from coming from other games, streaming those and watching other people, you must be inspired or take inspiration from them a little bit. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, the thing is, I like people. I mean, when I'm not streaming, my day job involves me interacting with people quite a lot, and I think that life is too short to do stuff you don't like.
Okay.
So for me, like, I love streaming because for me it's the same way I'm trying to get across to my viewers. For me, it is the time I'm de-stressing, I'm enjoying myself, I'm relaxing with the viewers, with my followers, and just mellowing and playing games. That's what games are about. They're supposed to be fun. Yeah, okay, it's great to have that competitive edge and come play some ranks every now and then, but at the same time, life's too stressful to then come to play a game and get stressed and salty and annoyed, and irritated.
Yeah, it happens.
Which does happen. Yeah, it does still happen. Don't get me wrong. When I'm playing ranks, that still happens. But hopefully we manage to blow it off, play a couple of battle royales, get some video games going, and it's soon forgotten.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think I do enough of that. I end up ranking a lot. I think lately I've just been like less caring about the skill tier and like, all right, I'm just gonna play this person. I don't really know them. Because I'm gonna win or lose if I know the person like the best, or if I'm just getting used to them, because the odds are there that somebody may carry you or they may AFK. It's like, all right, well, at least I tried alpha this time. I'm not the great alpha, but I had fun.
See, for me, I have the benefit of I'm a roam main.
Okay.
I've always kind of in MOBAs I've always gone for that sort of roam or support position, the tanky initiator type classes. So it's great for me in ranked because no one ever wants that position. So I walk in and I go, right, roam utility, and they're like, oh, okay, that makes life simple.
Thank God.
So the worst part is when people like lock in roam straight away, and you're like, oh, okay.
You're like, who are you?
Who are you? Well, dude, I'm the only roam main on you. There's surely only one of us. But for, like I said, for most of the time, that doesn't tend to cause grief. But if there are some bad games going on, I have a rule of like three bad games in a row or three sort of games in a row, and I'm straight to casual. I'm straight to battle royale.
Okay.
I back off.
That's a good.
Because otherwise it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, you go on tilt quickly. So, so you said you play in Rome a lot. Do you have a favorite hero right now?
Yeah. Well, I've always been a fan of Catherine, but to be fair, I realized this earlier today. In fact, I've played 3 different MOBAs, and in each MOBA, I've actually ended up like playing the woman holding a massive shield.
Okay.
In all 3 of those games.
You gotta type.
Apparently so. But no, at the moment, actually, I've been absolutely loving playing Fortress.
Okay.
As a roam, because I have a really aggressive play style. I really like to kind of get those turn fights initiate, and Fortress just is great for that because people don't see him very often,
right?
And so a lot of people don't know how to play against him very well, and also he's great counter to sort of picks like Kestrel and Taka, who, let's be honest, if they slip through, are going to get picked. So
last night I was playing with a Fortress and I was like, this isn't going to go well. But man, that dude was a monster. He like mowed down a turret himself with his wolf. So I was like, what? It's crazy.
But people underestimate the Fortress, man. I've been absolutely loving playing Fortress recently.
Nice. Yeah. Well, awesome. Like, I'll include a link to your stream and Twitter, but I think we should dive into the news. There's some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Definitely. Let's go for it.
Vainglory News.
So at the top of the news, we had 1.22 drop recently. How's it been going for you? We've had Baron get released. We've had a few changes, not much to the meta, but a lot of like in-game currency things. Like, you digging this update?
Yeah, actually, I think it's been quite interesting. I don't think Baron's kind of had as much of an effect on the meta as maybe some previous releases as far as heroes are concerned. But he's definitely a lot of fun. I like where they've gone with his style and stuff, and I think he has seen some competitive play already and over on in the Tesseract League and things, but I don't know how well that's gone. But no, I mean, I love the map changes. I know that's a cosmetic thing. But I'm a massive goth. I'm a massive metalhead. I love autumn or fall, and I love all the pumpkins and the leaves and everything. It's really cool that they've done that. From a cosmetic point of view. But yeah, no, I think overall it's been a pretty solid patch for a lot of heroes. Actually, I've found it quite good.
Yeah, I'm surprised Baron really hasn't been picked up or taken to. I don't know what it is. I haven't really played him that much because I haven't seen him. So then I'm like, oh well, maybe he's not good. But I bet when you're streaming, it allows you to play a lot of different stuff that you don't usually play. Like, I'm either recording videos and I haven't streamed in a long time, so it's not like, well, I'm going to play this guy and see how it goes, and then I have to start my recording over again.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it ends up being more positions because I tend to play Roman. If not, I play jungle.
Okay.
And I've been trying recently to play a lot more of the sort of less meta-y heroes. Because, for example, like I love playing Taka in the jungle, but you can guarantee that guy's going to be banned out like 75% of the time in ranked. So I've been playing more sort of like Ronas and even Petal actually. After this patch, I've been loving Petal. I'm going to get lots of hate for that straight away, I'm sure.
I don't know. Playoff Beard on Twitter has been like preaching the Petal love lately, and I don't think anyone's listening to him.
Hey, trust me, I agree with them. I think the quality of life changes have slowly caught up with Petal, and while there's still a lot of sort of hard counters out there, the sort of the initiators, things like Alpha, Taka, if you can get the right team comp around them and that Taka is banned out or they've already pre-picked a jungler, it's quite a nice pickup, and especially because it's crystal as well, it allows for those hard weapon power laners that kind of people do want to play at the moment.
Right. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I know there's been a lot of fun skins. That Moon Princess Celeste skin is my favorite in this update. Dear Diary Lyra is cool, but there's something about the Sailor Moon Celeste that is just great.
Yeah, I've not seen enough of it, to be fair. I need to get hold of that skin, but no, I've seen it a couple of times, and yeah, it's pretty cool. The Dear Diary Lyra for me was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. It's kind of a tier 1 skin. It's pretty to look at, but it's not. I don't know if it actually is tier 1. I'm not sure what it is classed at, but
it's technically tier 3. It was the first one, but it was really? A tier 3. Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. I've not looked at it that much, but I was a bit underwhelmed with that. I thought it was cool, but nothing. I didn't go crazy for it. I really like the Lance skin. I do like the Lance skin.
That makes sense. He seems like more your kind of rolling guy.
yeah, he is. But to be fair, it's cool to see. I mean, admittedly, like I was looking at it, and I was straight away. I was like Dark Souls and the Arthas from World of Warcraft,
right,
and I was like, it looks badass. I like it.
No, yeah, and that's only a tier 2, so it can only get more like evil and dark as it goes into the tier 3, I think. So
I approve of evil and dark. It's good. I like it.
That's awesome. So with the update, we saw these opals get introduced, and I feel like we're not being told what these are for. They were kind of said they could unlock the previous special edition skins, but we have no idea how much those skins are going to be worth or cost, and then everyone is just collecting these opals for what? Like, any thoughts on the opals?
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar boat to you on that one. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna save these things because let's be honest, we haven't got any other options than save them right now
Right,
because we
yeah.
don't know what to spend them on. But I'm imagining that any skins that these are tied to are not going to be necessarily cheap. You know, they're not going to be 5 opals.
Right.
So I imagine that when a little bit more information is leaked out, people are going to be like, okay, cool, I've got 75% of the opals I need. You know, it's, yeah, more info would be great. I'm not going to lie. But maybe they just didn't want to kind of, you know, give us everything all at once, and maybe it will kind of trickle out with, you know, with Halloween coming up. Maybe it's going to be tied to those skins and stuff. I don't really know.
Maybe they wanted to see, well, how many opals do people get in an update, and then judge like, okay, the average person has 50 or 100 opals. Okay, we got to make the skins, you know, twice that at least.
Yeah, you know they're going to come out at 1,000 or something. It's going to be ridiculous. Yeah. But no, yeah, I know. I'm excited to be able to get those skins. I'm excited to see the kind of the next load of special edition skins that we can get with them. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, it's, you know, some sort of hints and some you know, leaks and some, you know, kind of like sneak previews. Hopefully, will come out, because I think that would get people a lot more hyped about the opals, and make them more excited when they do get them.
Right.
Because at the moment people get opals and they're kind of like, cool, opal. It's like when you get glory and you've got all the heroes.
Right. Like, you know, what do I do with this? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, hopefully that will get exciting.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a few people on Reddit post pictures of like 250 opals, and people are like, whoa, that's a lot. But is it? Yeah, just is it a lot? I don't know.
I tell you what, it's a lot more than I've got, but I've not been playing nearly as often as I should be recently, because I've been playing when I've been streaming and then not had much time outside of that. So.
Makes sense. But you're probably like pretty hyped to get those previous skins because you came in so late. You didn't have that Baywitch Celeste and
dude,
Pumpkin Spice Petal.
Winter Catherine. I need that Catherine skin. I need that Pumpkin Petal skin. Those are the two for me that are the big ones.
Yeah, Winter Celeste or Winter Catherine is probably the skin I play probably the most. I just dig her as a character, and that skin is just like a solid skin. So, and I think people like it, but there's nothing like a big particle, so it's not like talked about or hyped up, but it's just a good skin.
I just want it because it's Catherine, and it's a Catherine skin I don't have. That's basically it.
So hopefully we see more about opals soon. Like, we're starting to get some teases and info about 1.23. It may come pretty quickly because I'm sure they want to get those opals. I'm sure they want to have those Halloween skins. I bet there'll be new Halloween skins coming soon.
I hope so.
Any thoughts on who we could see? We have Celeste, we have Petal. Like, who's gonna get one that a nice Celeste doesn't need any more skins for like a long time now, so she's
yeah. I'd like to see kind of like maybe more vampiric sort of Count Dracula theme, maybe on Samuel.
Oh, that
would work.
Okay, yeah.
He kind of already has the dark gothic thing going for him. It'd be quite easy to, like, you know, make his face paler, put some blood, you know, some particles and stuff. I think it could work.
Something like almost like a Pumpkin King Arden, where his gauntlet's like a giant ring of a pumpkin. That could be cool. I don't know.
that could be quite cool. Like, sort of like pumpkins attached with ivy or something like that around it.
Yeah.
That could be quite cool.
So many fun ideas. I'm sure there's lots of stuff in the works over there.
Yeah, well, we've got the that Gwen coming as well, the new hero.
Right.
It's kind of been teased that as well.
So we got a tease of the new hero. You said Gwen. I thought I heard Annabelle. Is it Gwen?
Well, on the I'm going by their Twitter, so I don't know if I've taken it out of context, but they've got a pinned tweet right now. Yeah. It says, "I always get my mark," and it says Gwen as the quote.
Okay.
So if they're quoting the hero, then obviously then that's why I assume Gwen. If Gwen is one of someone else's that they're taking the quote from, then fair enough. But yeah, no, I was going by that. But Annabelle was actually a really cool name, and it would kind of suit the style that I've seen. It's kind of a very westerny sheriff feel. Yeah,
Annabelle's in the lore somewhere. I've not kept up on the lore as I should, but I've heard Annabelle mentioned.
That makes a lot more sense then, maybe. So yeah, I don't know where that Gwen thing came from, but Annabelle sounds a lot cooler. I like it.
But yeah, she looks like she's kind of in lines with Ringo a little bit, like a gunslinger, possibly an easier hero to play than we've seen very complex heroes with Skye, and Lyra's fairly easy, but then Baron is also complex. So I think as a new player, you're maybe like, there's no way I can get Skye. Like, Skye is one of those heroes everyone wishes they knew, but they can't get their head around.
Yeah, I think she was one of the first heroes outside of Rome I bought because and she's one of those heroes I can play. I think she's a perfect example of a hero that with a bit of practice you can play well, but to master her takes that extra push. And the difference between a really good Skye and someone that's played Skye a little bit is just huge when you see it in game. So yeah, I'm one of the lower tier ones on that one. I can kind of play it when I'm forced to play lane, but yeah. So, definitely not good.
I know there are some leaked images about this new character, but we don't dive into those here. But you can dig them up, I think, on the Vainglory Leaks Reddit. So if you really want to see,
no spoilers.
But getting teases already means I just feel like the patch is going to come quicker than usual. We might see something by the end. I guess it already is the end of the month, but probably early October here. So.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, like I said, this patch there was a lot of like some cosmetic changes and a few subtle changes to the heroes and things, but it didn't feel like a huge, like they weren't like, they didn't reset the rankings, for example, and things like that. So it didn't feel like a huge patch that had like you. It didn't feel like that they needed a long period of time before the next update comes. If that makes sense.
It was more of a. It felt like a point patch, like a 1.20.5 kind of thing.
Yeah, a 0.5 one. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. It's definitely made some positive changes, and I don't think I've not seen any big sort of grievances about the patch or anyone becoming overpowered or anything like that. So it's cool.
But it was probably good. It was an easier patch because everyone just started school back. I know the audience of Vainglory is much younger, so those people were going back to school. So something where you're not taking away that time from people was maybe smart. So.
They're just thinking about the education of the future children of this world. Yeah. That's it.
Think about the kids.
Super Evil Megacorp. Thinking about the children. their futures.
Do you follow the esports scene of Vainglory at all?
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, I've seen some exciting team changes going on recently. It's been pretty cool to see. I mean, the esports scene is definitely growing, and it's definitely getting a lot more hype about it from sort of external sources. Like Vainglory is definitely getting known outside of our tight little community, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, we came off of the NA and EU championships, and then we had like a week or two off, and Evil 8 already started. I think it's playing right now as we're recording now, the second day of it. Like there is no breaks in Vainglory esports.
No, which to be fair is good as well, because it keeps the hype going. It means that the teams that are putting all that hard work into practice, they don't have to then refocus and go away, etc. So it's good to see, because I think at this point in time with Vainglory growing, consistency is going to pay. Is same. I suppose it's the same as being a streamer. Being consistent, and being there for people to watch, to see is essential. And I think with Vainglory, that's the same thing.
Very true. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's great to see that being able to chill out on a weekend and know there's going to be an Evil 8 contest on or Tesseract or any of those really great tournaments. It's good to be able to just watch some Vainglory whenever we want, or check out your YouTube.
Right, there you go. Yeah, got that.
Which I do. Which I do. You'll see that the likes popping up on my Twitter page fairly often. But but like I said, it's good that there's so much Vainglory content available to us, and it's good to have the sort of content that we create as streamers and content creators, but then also have that pro stuff always available.
Do you follow both EU and NA, or are you kind of one over the other? Like being in EU, that you may be a little more familiar with those players in that world, but do you?
I'd say I'm actually fairly even.
Okay.
because I have a lot of friends via sort of Twitter and via Vainglory that are NA based, that were either involved in the pro scene or they're kind of part of guilds or part of organizations that are involved in that side of things.
Okay.
So I'm always curious about what's going on over there. And also it's really cool for me to see the differences in the meta.
Yeah.
And the play styles. And also you often get an indication of what's going to be moving over to EU and what's going to be moving over to NA based on what's going on in each region.
That's true, yeah.
So it's quite cool.
Uh-huh. I don't think there was any changes of teams or anything on the EU side. That pretty much stayed the same. That all those players are pretty stable organizations and they don't switch. But on the NA side, like there was like one, I guess the biggest change up was Phoenix Reign basically got scooped up by Gangstars and became the new Gangstars Sirius.
Yeah.
And so
that was huge.
Yeah, so that includes Old School, Status Pick, and Wrecked. Wrecked and Old School were on Gangstars Vega with Fuji, like back in the day. So it was like just a welcome home kind of thing for them coming back. They did not. I think they lost on their first day of the Evil 8, so they didn't make it to day number 2. But this team, they played great last season, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with here. I know all 3 of those players are just like amazing and have been amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they've also got obviously the huge benefit of they've been together the previous season. They're now in this season. You know, the teams, the synergy between teams is literally the difference maker for a lot of organizations and a lot of teams succeeding.
Right.
And having the same 3 people together 2 seasons in a row is a huge deal for esports in esports in general. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, they may have had a disappointing start in not making it to day 2, but I still think they're going to be, like you say, a force to be reckoned with the rest of the season.
Uh-huh. And then what was it? Phoenix, not to be like outshadow. Yep. They picked up Invincible Armada. So this was Druid, Mango, and PQQ. And this team, like I think a lot of people are familiar with these players because we've seen them in a VIPL and just heard their names mentioned over and over again. Like Invincible Armada has been around since I think the beginning of the game, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, they're a really well-known team over in the sort of the Korean leagues and that sort of side of things. And Druid, he's. I mean, I'm relatively new to the game, and I'm aware of who he is. I'm aware that if someone's got a high CS count in a game, they're like, you did a Druid. Yeah. You know, it's kind of, he's already got that synonymous sort of lane notoriety, I suppose is the word. But yeah, they won. I think, was it the spring season?
I think so. I forget now. I don't have not up on all the winnings of all the teams, but yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, no, I know that they're a really good team, and they're one of those teams that regardless of which region you're in, you're aware of. And that, if given that Invincible, they're not that huge organization. They're not TSM, they're not Cloud9. But for someone like myself who's only been in the game sort of 3 months or in the scene 3 months to have been aware of them probably 2 months ago, that says a lot about a team. So it's a huge pickup for Phoenix, and it's they like you said, they weren't going to be outdone. So.
No, yeah, they were like, we got you, yeah. But this should be interesting. I don't know if the name is changing. I don't know all the details because I almost never see any of the Southeast Asia games, even Tesseract. The timings are just like way off for me, so I don't ever see those players play at all. So be interested, but I think we will know a little bit more going into the Vainglory Worlds, which is a pretty big event coming up here in was it December 2nd through the 4th?
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Like that's gonna be so good. Have you seen the venue that's being held in?
Yeah, the Hollywood Chinese Theater.
Yeah, that looks insane. I'm so envious of anyone that gets to go there on that one because it looks like it's going to be a great event.
Yeah, I've seen a few people at other events and premieres because it's like a movie premiere venue, so you see stuff out there and it's just like a classic venue. So it's going to be awesome for the game and to see just it happening there. I think it'll get some good press too.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, it's anything that helps Vainglory grow as a game and as a community is at this stage anyway, is definitely a good thing. Hopefully, as it does grow, they manage to keep the community as good as it is. Obviously, any game there's always going to be people you don't necessarily want in that community that do try to ruin it for everyone. But they've done a good job so far of creating like a real good feel and keeping that toxicity down. So hopefully they manage to manage that as well as the game grows.
Yeah. And then, so the Worlds is going to function similar to, if anyone watches LCS, they'll have like a group stage and then eliminations and then the grand finals and stuff. The grand finals are going to be best of 7 games, like 7 game. If you play all 7 games in that grand finals, like that's a lot of games, just the fatigue and just, oh man, just the mental exhaustion of like playing for 3 days straight and then you're in a 7 game series for all the marbles.
Yeah, I think that's where the athlete word comes in, at esports athlete, because that is definitely something they're going to have to train for going in, because I don't think there's any teams there isn't any situation in any tournament so far where they have to go for 7 games potentially. So that's going to have to be something they work on, that fatigue element and staying mentally strong for that length of time. I mean, Vainglory, the games do tend to be a lot shorter than they are in other MOBAs, so it does lend itself to that sort of length of series. But at the same time, it's going to be a crazy challenge for these guys going in.
Yeah, you're going to have some fun comps and just different characters that you want to pull out to surprise someone in like game 4, like, oh, he busted out this person.
Well, the thing is as well, it means with 7 games, like games 1 and 2, they're not really, at least 1, you're going to see some crazy picks in game
true.
1 of every series, because it's literally going to be testing the waters and trying to see how well the enemy team deal with it. And if you do something crazy and it pays off, you've got a straight early advantage as far as the series is concerned. But so I think there's going to be, like you say, like game 1, game 4, those are going to be like the ones where we just see like lane petal or something coming out. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we know a few of the teams, I guess, in the North America side. We know Hammer's Velocity and Team Solo Mid are going, and then whoever wins this winter or the autumn split here on the EU side, it's going to be Team Secret and Snow Avalanche, and then also whoever wins that winter or autumn split too. So
yeah, there's some really good quality teams going into this. I think what we've seen from both EU, NA, and over in the SEA sort of tournaments, there's always sort of 2, 3, maybe 4 teams out of say 6 or 7 that just dominate. And it's a case of watching the kind of the lesser educated, newer teams that maybe aren't, well, some of the new teams are actually great, but the teams that aren't maybe as good as others sort of dropping off, and you're waiting to get to those final 4 teams. Whereas now you're going to walk into Worlds and know that every team is beast, and it's just going to be crazy from the get-go. That's why I'm so excited.
Yeah, I hope the viewership is up, and we don't have the VIPL this year, so it should be awesome to see all these people in one place playing. I can't wait. December 2nd through the 4th.
Yeah, I have to look to make sure I'm not working those days.
Yeah, call-ins. I think I'm sick.
Yeah. I'm sick. How long are you gonna be sick? About 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. And then on the SEA side, I talked about this last week. The servers were down. Like they were having like crazy issues where that just sucks. I know the feeling when you want to play the game and you can't log in or anything. So they're trying to make it right. So they have a special 96-hour boost for all Southeast Asia players. And it's a 96-hour boost as soon as you go into the game and you select it. So it's not like it started on Friday, and if you couldn't play until Saturday, like you're out of luck. No. It starts once you go into the game for the first time, and then you get this boost. So hopefully that's enough. I know the SEA players are very loyal players because they've been with the game since the beginning. So they are, I don't know. It seems like a great community of people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of says two things. It says, you know, it makes SEMC basically, they're admitting, yeah, okay, we screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's them, you know, they're not trying to just, you know, graze over it and go, oh, you know, the server lag, these things happen, blah, blah, blah. They're saying, okay, we realize this was an extended length of time. This is a big problem. We realize it's put a lot of people out. And they're trying to do something to show that, you know, to make it up to people. And I think that's cool. I think that it shows that they do care about the opinion of the people that play the game. I know a lot of bigger games basically would probably just ignore it, you know, because they had
sorry.
Yeah, pretty much like this stuff happens, technical difficulties, yada yada, you know, get over it. Whereas SEMC have basically turned and said, yeah, okay, we realize a lot of people are pissed off here. Have this. We're really, really sorry. Please take this. And yeah, so I think that does show at least some level of concern. Hopefully the issues that caused this have been corrected so that they're not throwing out 90-day glory boosts for the next year.
Yeah, I know. So, you know, if you play on the SEA servers, like hopefully you got your boost and logged in time to pick it up. So check that out. And then the last bit of news, always like to mention the free hero rotation. It's just a good place to learn some new people, pick up some people, because if you're new to the game, characters are expensive. It's a tough game to get into once you start. You're like, how am I ever going to have 8,000 glory for each and every person unless I just throw hundreds of dollars at this? So this week you have Lyra, Finn, Petal, Lance, Jewel, and Celeste. Like, this Rome lineup is pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously I've got those heroes already. But I think from a casual the casual side of things, it's great because more people are picking Rome. Mm-hmm. What's not good is that not a lot of people know how to play Rome.
Sure.
So we're seeing a lot of weapon power Rome lances going on right now, and aftershock build Lyras. But yeah, no, it's cool to see. I've been having a lot of fun with Jewel. I only recently got her, and I've not had a load of time to play her, but she's obviously been so versatile with having legitimate weapon power and CP builds. She's been a lot of fun to play, and let's be honest, everyone loves just pressing that ult. That ult in the right circumstance is just so much fun.
Yeah, when you can delete someone or an entire team, you're like, you just feel good about it.
Yeah. And she did receive a few quality of life changes over the last couple of patches, I believe. So she feels a little bit stronger as well to play. So yeah, I've been enjoying playing her a lot.
Mm-hmm. But then you were talking about Petal being in here. It's one of those heroes I think a lot of people own, but maybe the new players haven't picked up because she just hasn't been at the top. So it's kind of a good reason to revisit her in casual queue or something in the free hero rotation.
Yep, definitely.
Check that out. So that's all the news, but got a couple other little fun topics before we wrap up this episode. So let's jump into those.
Forum static.
So first thing is a little forum static. This was a interesting topic, and maybe not as important to you because you haven't been playing as long, but I saw someone talk about just a hard reset of their MMR. They wish they could just start over, like basically having a new account. I want to start at the bottom and work my way back up, but you're kind of stuck, right? If you get to a certain point, if you're at like hotness silver, and maybe you're playing a new character and you drop down to credible threat, or you go up to simply amazing, but you're always in that same realm, and it's very hard to learn new people, push yourself a little more. So this resetting MMR is kind of it's a funny thing.
It's something that I think people will be very conflicted over.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people that would just say create a new account.
Right. But you have all your skins, right?
Yeah, but you you can't. I suppose it's like cake and eat it too.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose to an extent it would be useful for a lot of people, but then for as many people as there are that are frustrated with their current MMR and where they're at, there's a lot of people that have worked crazy hard to get to the MMR they're at.
True.
And I think that there's probably more on the latter than there are the previous. So I think it would be a difficult decision to make from SEMC. I mean, I didn't see that forum thread. I mean, what was the general consensus as far as the thread was concerned? Do you know?
People were just kind of hating on it. A lot of people were like, "Well, if you wanna lower your MMR, play with me, and I'll help you do that." Kind of.
Hey, that's what my viewers do every stream with me. They that's what they wanted. But yeah, no, that's. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to lower your MMR, and it's a lot easier to get your MMR down than it is to get your MMR up.
That's true, yeah.
So I think from a general overview, there's going to be a lot more people angry at losing MMR than there are people that are happy to be back at 0.
But we didn't see like a skill tier reset. Did you like that in this update, or do you like the struggle of the struggle of the climb, or do you like I'm the same, I'm just going to keep grinding?
Yeah, I think well, the difference, I think there's a difficult, with this type of skill tier system, there's always that difficulty of, as long as you've got a 55% win rate, you're generally, I know it's based on elo, but you're generally going to climb if you can play often enough.
Right.
So there's always that kind of debate of the people you see near the top are generally the people that play more.
That is true. Yeah.
I mean that would be the case regardless, I imagine. But with this system of kind of just it going up and up and up and then on to the next tier, rather than it placing you in a tier initially based on your MMR and elo.
Okay.
I don't know if that's kind of how it works, but yeah.
Right, because in League of Legends, you play basically kind of promo games, and then you're set. It's like, you qualify for this skill tier. Congratulations. Now work your way beyond this. Where Vainglory is like, oh, hey, you're in ranked. Start at the bottom. You might be playing against really good people, but we're not gonna tell you that because you have to start at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can be frustrating for some people, because obviously if you're talking to a Vainglorious player, VG Gold, and then there's a hard reset and they're back to 0, it's like, did they not deserve to be kind of sat somewhere in the middle? If they were Vainglorious Gold. But yeah, so it's a hard tier system to work with, and I quite like the fact that it didn't reset. Getting back to the initial question. Because I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of good players out there that aren't necessarily at the skill tier level they play at.
Uh-huh.
And there's also a lot of people that are working hard to get to those higher skill tiers. And I think the reset probably would have been like a bit too frustrating for a lot of people.
Yeah, we did see a reset when Season 1 started. When Season 0 ended, 1 started, and you had people like Call the Meek playing with a brand new person, and it just that did not go well for a lot of people for that first week. They're like, this isn't fair. I don't like this game, especially if you just came into it and you're playing against the best players in the world. You're like, screw this game. This sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I suppose that the esports scene for Vainglory is still relatively young. So I think that whereas the game was probably more designed around people getting into the game initially, and a lot of lower tier players and casual players, they're realizing that there is a growing amount of people playing this in a much more serious way. So I imagine there will be adaptations and changes to the tier system as time goes on. Right. Probably in a similar vein to, as you see in like sort of in League, in Heroes of the Storm, in kind of the more established MOBAs. Obviously, there's a fine line for them to walk where you don't want to be imitating. But at the same time, that if there's a formula that's known to work for a genre, it tends to be there for a reason.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So if you have any thoughts on resetting MMR, or like why it'd be good or why you hate it, go over the forums. The forums are always a fun play. I usually just read them every now and then. I don't comment because, yeah, it's some crazy, hardcore, dedicated people over there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a delicate topic.
Oh, well then the last thing before we wrap up here, random item.
Random item.
So I thought this would be a good item to talk about the Stormcrown, your Rome main, and we've been seeing the rise of the Stormcrown in this update because it didn't get nerfed like it probably should have going into 1.22. Stormcrown, so I'll quickly go over it and then we can talk about what we've been seeing. So Stormcrown is a utility item, a tier 3, passively, basic attack steal, 60 to 160 bonus true damage to non-heroes, and then 20% of that to heroes. You get cooldown speed, you get energy recharge, and you get 200 health. So it's made for the supports to help clear the jungle. Like, that's the reason this item exists.
Yeah.
But we've been seeing stuff like Taka. So Crystal Taka with this item. Crystal Taka sucks at clearing the jungle. It's the most frustrating thing ever to do. It takes so long. But with your Stormcrown, you can now melt heroes and clear the jungle very fast. And then that true damage, you cannot really build against it. You just build health and hope you have enough health to survive true damage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you say, it's an item that's people are slowly coming around to. They're realizing how OP it is. I mean, even on roams, like I've managed to solo Kraken in probably about 12 seconds flat as Catherine with my B and Stormcrown at 15 minutes. If people haven't got vision, you just catch them off guard, and they see two people in lane, they expect that Kraken can't be taken. It's an extremely. It does exactly what it's supposed to. The problem is that when you create an item that's strong in one position, you kind of have to think about what that application can be elsewhere in as far as other heroes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it being picked up on a lot more junglers that struggle early, or with builds where their clear times are generally low. Like, that tends to be the trade-off. Like with CP Taka, you've got that crazy late game damage where you just annihilate people. But the trade-off is the early struggle, the clear times, and that people are happy with that. People expect that. They go, okay, we're playing against CP Taka, we're going to counter him, we're going to do early aggression, yada yada yada. But when there isn't an early weak phase, then there's a problem,
Right.
Because you can't have something that's strong without there being like a balance to it. Like you often find that, for example, as a general aspect, ranged heroes are strong, generally deal a lot of damage, but they're weak if you can get close to them, if they're not itemized correctly. Melee heroes do a lot of damage, and if they can get on you, they have to get into you. But then they're at a risk of of being locked down, of everything else. So that's just the general balance to heroes as a whole. And the same thing applies to items. If you're getting an item, you're picking that item over other things. That's always the case in MOBAs. And when you've got an item that's just so strong, it's like, I'm getting that. Like, there's no thought needed to it. It's just that's what I'm getting straight away.
Yeah, I've seen this picked up by a few other people. Like, I've seen it on like a Saw. I've seen it on Skies. I haven't picked it up on a lot of other people just because I think there's still better items. So it's not in that like everybody has a Stormcrown phase yet. So it's not that strong.
You just wait for Stormcrown Petal, man.
Right.
Just wait for Stormcrown Petal.
I think it could happen. Is this a bad thing? Are we going to see this? I think we'll see this change because Taka is banned in every ranked game I play. If Taka's not banned, Taka's picked, and that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, the whole pick and ban thing. I mean, that happens every patch in every meta. I mean, before her nerf, Lyra was in the same boat. We've seen previous patches. We've seen Saw in the similar situation, and now Samuel as well. Even though Samuel, not always necessarily, I don't think he's always ban worthy. He has kind of been, especially over here in the EU, every ranked game, just people are banning Samuel. I don't know whether that's just out of sort of habit or what, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know with the item. It's maybe just changing it slightly to be more like less impactful for junglers. Okay. I don't want them to nerf it into ground. That's what I'm terrified of it doing. Like, I think for roams, it works exactly as it should.
Right.
It's exactly because a roam, if they're picking Stormcrown up, they're not getting an early Crucible. They're not getting any early armor. They're making a sacrifice or decision based on the way the team's playing or the enemy team are playing in order to get that Stormcrown. And therefore, from a roam perspective, that's exactly what it is. They're going for a little bit more damage. They're going for that early aggressive play, or because they feel they're in a position to do that. Mm-hmm. With a jungler taking that sort of item, there's not really a sacrifice if it's causing a lot of damage. They're sacrificing a damage item for a better damage item. That's, it's not really a sacrifice. There's no decision there. So yeah, I just like them to probably shift it slightly towards utility focus in some way or form. I don't know how they do that.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you change how the true damage happens, if it's based off your health, or maybe it builds a little differently. So maybe it goes back to building out the contracts and you get rid of the O-cart. So that way the junglers or the other people don't have a lot of reason to get the contract. No one has a reason to get the contract, really. But if you take away that health part of it, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense for maybe someone like Taka, who has to get in your face, and that extra 200 health may help him survive. Yeah.
I think that's quite a cool idea. The idea of it scaling off of health is quite a cool idea. Because then obviously if you haven't built any other items around that, then it's going to fall off. It's going to drop off. Mm-hmm. So I think that definitely has a kind of a ring to it on that one. But they definitely need to work on contracts. that's still a bit of a sore point for me as a roam main. They kind of they need to do some work on that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, but
because there's still only one contract in the game, basically.
Basically, yeah.
And even that's not even picked up most of the time if you can get away with a no card. So,
Well, so that's the Stormcrown. Yeah, you're probably seeing it a lot. Give it a try on someone too if you want to experiment with a build and just see what could happen. Like it's worth seeing who you kind of like, and I bet we kind of see it in Evil 8 here in the next couple weeks. Like, on a few other heroes, as they usually define the meta a little bit.
It may even be happening right now.
That's true, yeah. So that's going to do it for episode 121. Mal, thanks for joining me. This was great.
Yeah, pleasure being here, man. Thank you very much.
Where can people find you? Twitch, Twitter, like all that good stuff.
Yeah, Twitch, Twitter, even Mobcrush as well. I stream simultaneously to both Mobcrush and Twitch because I'm trying to grow both communities. So yeah, if you guys are on Twitch, great, catch me there. But if not, I've got Mobcrush for those guys that are a bit more loyal to Mobcrush.
Cool. Well, I'll include links in the show notes. Is there a schedule? Do you have a schedule when you're live?
Yep, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Generally around 8 or 9 p.m. At the moment, British summertime. Okay. So you might have to kind of get a conversion based on where your viewers are. 5 hours ahead for Eastern time or something like that. 5 or 6, something like that. Yeah. But if you are following me on Twitter, I do tend to announce it on Twitter when I'm about to stream. And if you are following me on Twitch, you can set notifications. And that obviously helps a lot for people that are unsure about timings. Cool. And then Shatter The Vain is on Twitter, @ShatterTheVain. Website, shatterthevain.com. All the episodes get posted there. Links to iTunes, Stitcher, the YouTube version as well. And then,
yeah, I'll be back with episode 122 next week. I know a lot of people are going to be at TwitchCon. I think that's happening this coming week or weekend, so should see some fun stuff getting announced there, and lots of photos from people just hanging out and having a good time. So I won't be there, but yeah, I know Foul Ferris and a lot of people from the Undersprawl, they're going to be there, so yeah, get ready for that. Take care.
Let's get this over with.